and listen. You hear it roaring? This wheel bearing's not loose. There's no play in it. Same thing back here. Hear that? Noisy. Hey, what's up guys? How y'all doing? And thanks for tuning in, clicking on the video. As you can see, I got the machine apart here. We're going to be doing rear wheel bearings. If you've seen the last video, that's the reason the machine is apart here on the left. I was doing, I was putting new differential axle seals, and that's when I noticed that the rear wheel bearings were noisy. And here's the hubs over here. I've already got, well, here's the spindles, and there's your hub. I already took them apart and cleaned them up. I'll put a couple clips in here and show you disassembling the, pulling the axle out of here, taking your axle nut off, and taking the hub off, and then sliding the axle out of the spindle here. Alright guys, I'm getting this, trying to bring this peen down to this nut. I get this punch, it's been ground flat like a screwdriver, but a screwdriver, you know, is not strong enough to bend this nut out. This gets down in here and gets that pushed back out. Drive it out in there and get that deal out. I should be wearing safety glasses. I had stuff in my eye not too long ago and wasn't fun. Make sure you got it out far enough. Okay, get your impact. 27 millimeter. Same size as the lug nuts on my truck. There you go. Oh, yeah, that comes right off. All right. There's your bearing, your snap ring you'll have to pull out. And press that bearing out from the back side. This axle might come out now. Hit it with your hand. Yeah. There you go. Wipe this off a little bit. So, all right. Once you get to this stage, you'll need to remove your snap ring. So you'll need snap ring pliers to get that removed. And here's the new bearings. I bought 4 because I'm going to do all 4. And I also bought this bearing packer tool that you will stick in your bearing. Now you can do this. I've seen a lot of guys, or not a lot, but I've seen some guys buy this tool and pack the bearings while they're on the machine. But to do so, you would need to pull your axle nut off, pull your hub off, pull your spindle, loosen the machine to get your axle out of it. 2, you would put that in there, put your grease gun on here, and you would pump that up until you see grease coming out. Now, I never did do the original bearings. My thought was I'll just pack the new bearings. When these original bearings wear out, I'll just pack the new ones when I install new bearings on it. So I'm going to pack these. I'll put the camera up right here. I'm going to take these apart, these new ones. Now I did not go back with factory bearings. These are a made in China knockoff. They had pretty decent reviews. You guys probably know where I bought them. You know, you get online, you go click, click, and 2 days later they show up on your doorstep. You know how that works. So I'll put that in there and pack this bearing until it starts coming out here with the grease gun, and then we'll install this bearing. You know, that way it'll be, these new bearings I know will be fully packed. So let me get the old ones out and we'll get moving. So get your snap ring pliers. They're hung up. Okay, a lot of times you have to go like this. One side will come loose. My hand's probably in the way, but sometimes you got to tap it like that. There you go. One of them out. Now I won't film both of these. I mean, I'll show you getting these snap rings out, but I'll just film one. I mean, you guys don't want to see a repeat, do you? So there's your 2 snap rings, and I'm not going to film both sides. You guys don't want to see it twice, so okay. So now we're going to take it back on the press, get something that'll fit in there, which you just get you a socket. Okay, so we'll use that socket, and we'll press that bearing right down out of there. Okay, let's do that right quick. So I will do it this way. So I have this deal that will hold that, and I will just we'll just press that out of there. Okay. We'll stack us a couple things in here. Kind of level that up. Okay. Tighten her down. So then they're pretty tight. There you go. All right. Okay. Our little tool. And our bearings down in there. Now, on this bearing, I'll show you what I'm going to do with this bearing. Okay, let me go back over on the bench there. Looks fine. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to make something. I'm going to make a tool out of this bearing. I'm going to take and grind, and put on the grinder, and I'm going to grind this edge right here down a little bit, because I'm going to use this bearing to set against the new bearing. It's going to be kind of a tool to press that bearing down in there. Okay? Because see, it's got to go below where that snap ring is. You have to get it past this top lip so you can put your snap ring in, and then it bottoms out against that shoulder. So you need something. So now you could push here. If you're going to knock it in there with a hammer, which this hammer wouldn't work, you would definitely not want to hit the center, the race of your bearing, because you could actually dent the ball bearings, and you could put a dent in this race and the outer race, and then this bearing, when you spun it, would be rough. It'd have a rough spot. So that would, basically you could damage your new bearing. So you'd want to hit it there, around the edges. So that's what I'm going to use this for. So I'm going to push there, and I don't mind if I push here, and that way when it shoves it in, it'll be pushing here on this race, the outer race, and not on the inner race. Did you follow that? I hope so. Let me get on the grinder and I'll grind that down and show you. Can you see that? Here, shut that off. Can you see where I've ground it now? Right there. I made this smaller. I'll wipe it off a little bit. Some grindings off there. And now, see that slides in there. You see that? Hope I got the camera right. That's going to slide in there and shove that bearing below that snap ring land. So, just a little trick for you. Now, we're going to show this back here for a little room. We're going to pack this new bearing, right? With this bearing packer. This is a really good idea. If you guys have ever taken a new bearing apart, maybe not one of these, but just a new bearing in general, knock the seals out of them, of a new bearing, there's literally not very much grease in a brand new bearing. They don't pack them. They put a little in there and then send them on down the road, you know. Is that on there? I guess so. Now the grease I'm using, just to show you, this is what's in this grease gun. Redline synthetic oils. Well, it's just Redline is the brand name, but it's CV2. No, synthetic high performance extreme pressure grease with red moly. Once again, it's stuff I've come across back in the day, and I put this same stuff in my trailer, my truck, everything. All my wheel bearings I use this same grease in. Here's the wheel bearing packer that I use, you know, for automotive wheel bearings, and that's that red grease there. It's pretty good stuff. I've never had a bearing failure. With these will fail probably in 4,000 miles, right? Because they're going to be in water. It's not that the bearing fails, the bearings get wet. Water gets past the seals and then they get rough. That's just all there is to it. So we'll pack this. You'll see how this works out. So that's 2 pumps. And it'll start shoving that bearing apart when it fills it. Was that 4 or 5? Tell you the truth, I've lost count. It's not that important. We're just going to fill it until it starts squishing out, right? I hear it. Oh yeah. Oops, she's really pumping out on the backside here. It's full. See, it goes in that center. Shoves it in there. So wipe that down. Push it back together. Because it tries to spread it. Because nothing's holding it. Oh, there we go. She's really mushed out in the middle. So now we'll take it over there and press this new bearing in. I'm going to heat this a little bit with a small butane torch because I just like to. I'm also going to put a little bit of oil on here and inside there. What I like to use is transmission fluid, ATF. Put that in there. Just give that a little slickness. A little bit of slick. And this thing's kind of got some grease on it already anyway, but I'm going to do that. Make it a little slick. Now I'm going to set it over there in the press, heat it up. Not a lot. So I have this little block here, a little block of 1/2 inch thick aluminum. And that'll set right there nice and flush. That way it'll hold that level. We'll set that on this little deal, if that'll work out. Okay, set. Now it's nice and level. Push that in there. Because you can't be setting it cockeyed, you know. You need something to kind of hold it level. And it might try to cock at the beginning, and I'll show you how we take care of that. Okay. Like I say, it's cold out here. Well, it's not cold, 55 degrees. I like to have that about 150 degrees or 100 degrees. Okay, I've been heating this up for about a minute or two. That's going to be good enough. Just so it's not totally cold. Set that on there. See, it does have a little wobble because it's kind of hard to find a flat surface on the back side of that hub. But you can tell when you're pressing or when you're knocking it in there with a hammer whether it's going in there straight or not. Okay, see it kind of straightened out? Yep. There we go. Now see what that bearing there cut down or turned down and to go past that top lip. That's it right there. Give it a couple squeezes after it hits the bottom. We'll save that one bearing. Now that'll be my tool that I use for all my bearings. So there you go, folks. There, this bottom's out against that shoulder down in there. Okay. We'll set our tool aside. And you just set your snap ring back in. Kind of wipe it off a little bit. Look at it, see which way it was in there, although it's really not, doesn't matter. There you go. Make sure your snap ring has jumped all the way back out. It has, I can see it. Okay, that bearing's installed. Here's these bushings that are getting worn out that I told you about in the review video, which I'm not going to do anything with those yet. Actually, wouldn't even need to do this. I guess you could just stick them in there fairly dry and then just start pumping them full. Oh, wait a minute. Seals, we'll put a little grease on these. But we'll keep the water out as long as we can for a couple of rides anyway, and then it'll be back in there. Although each week after rides and I wash the machine, I'll reach down and hit this with the grease gun. Okay. Another thing I like to do is the lithium lubriplate. Just put a little bit of that on there. It's white lithium. That way those splines don't ever run dry. Alright, slide on there. Let those seals fall off. I'm working with this axle. Okay. Get your bottom bolt started. Alright. Get that down on there. Alright. Now I think the torque on these. Alright. Okay. Now let's get our hub and put on there. See that grease keeps those splines nice and tight. Okay. Now the torque on this nut is 190 foot-pounds. Now I'm just going to use the impact. If you guys had a big old torque wrench and maybe say a breaker bar, and you could put through here to hold it, and you could probably torque that to your 190 foot-pounds. But all right. See, that's just about right where that pin's at. That's where it was smashed down before, so I know I'm going to go past that with the impact here. I'm going to go past where that pin is, and that's where I'll pin this nut down. Okay, so you see it? That's where it was pinned down before, so I've tightened it a little bit more, so I know I'll at least be 190 foot-pounds, probably closer to 210, and I'll pin this nut down in a new spot. Okay, and we'll slide our caliper back on, and that's basically it. You know, make sure those nuts are tight, and that's going to be wheel bearing done. Pin the nut down. Wheel bearing done on this side. And then I'll do all the other sides as well, of course, but... Alright guys, everything's back together here. Got the hose protector holder back up here on this lower upper control arm. Caliper's back on tight. Now I'm going to go ahead and pull the front wheel off, and I'll show you how to remove the front spindle, the upper ball joints, upper and lower ball joints, because you need to pull that spindle completely off, put it over on the press to do that wheel bearing. I'll do that, and then we'll I won't show you doing the wheel bearing because you've kind of already seen that, but I'll show you how to remove that front spindle, and that'll be it. Okay folks, see how it's so dirty. This is where my worn out front brake pads are at. I'll show you that when I get to it, but here you need to take your cotter pins out, upper ball joint, lower ball joint. Obviously you got to pull your caliper off, clean out all the debris, axle nut, and take this hub, well, and your tie rod end, take this hub off the machine and to do that wheel bearing. Okay guys, I got it apart. I'm going to shut it down here. Next up we'll be we'll do front brake pads. Next video will be a front brakes install, and I'll show you a little trick. So be sure and check that video out. I think you'll enjoy it. It's something interesting, hopefully. And that's it for this video, guys. Hope that helps out anybody who's doing wheel bearings. So thanks for watching. See you on the next one. Bye.